me and my very special helpers, we're gonna go check these things that Dad needs checked and kind of make sure everything's looking good, and hopefully we don't get any more rain because it's looking a little gray and sprinkly out here. But I think we're gonna miss most of it, so stick around and we're gonna see what's going on. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Me and the 3 dogs are leaving the house right now. Lucky's down there, Penny's over there. Clover's licking my ear. That's wonderful. Anyway, we're heading out. We're gonna go check some fields. Things have dried out quite a bit since our last video, and so there's some things that might be able to be done, like spraying. I'm gonna check for some weeds. Gonna check, make sure some water's draining off some fields, some things like that. Mom and Dad are at a doctor's appointment, so I'm gonna do some things for him. Need to get the sprayer cleaned out, which you've already seen how we do that. Things like that. So we're headed out right now. Me and my very special helpers, we're gonna go check these things that Dad needs checked and kind of make sure everything's looking good, and hopefully we don't get any more rain because it's looking a little gray and sprinkly out here. But I think we're gonna miss most of it, so stick around and we're gonna see what's going on. Thank you, Clover. We've made a small adjustment here. I'm not sure why. Lucky, what are you doing? All right, so Lucky and Penny have left me. They're running around in the field here. They're the best scouts guy can get. So what we're doing, first thing on the list, and Dad literally did send me a list of things to do, is to drive around some of these fields and check for weeds. So we put out our first round of chemical right around the time I made the last video. We've had rain, we've had all sorts of things since then. Water's come up and gone down. So we want to get back out here and see what's sprouted, what's coming up, what we need to kill, what we need to know about, those types of things. So that's what I'm doing right now. Best way to do it is just to kind of get with the rows like I am here. You can look down those rows, and then if you see something growing between them that's not supposed to be there, you know that's a weed or off-type variety, something that's coming up that you don't want, and then you can get out there, pinpoint that, figure out what it is, and figure out what to spray on it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just driving through here looking for some weeds. We'll see what we find, and hopefully it's nothing, but probably something. All right, so things are looking pretty good. I'm not seeing a whole lot of weeds whatsoever. Really nothing to speak of. So that's a really good sign, and that's what we're looking for, is just weeds, off-type varieties, anything that's not supposed to be out here that we didn't plant. So the best way to do that is, like I said, to look between the rows, as you can see I was doing a second ago. See if anything is coming up in between those rows, and then that gives you a slight indication of whether or not that might be something that's not supposed to be there. The planter does throw seeds off to the side occasionally, and those will get on top of the ground and then they'll come up. So that's what I'm seeing a little bit of when I'll pull some of these up. But for the most part, everything is in line. It looks good. There's nothing really out of the ordinary. I'm going to show you right here. There's one that I found that's out of line. I'm going to get the camera down on it where you can see, so you know kind of what I'm pinpointing, what I'm trying to look for. And then we'll pull that up and see if it's rice that we planted or if it's something else. Okay, I'm gonna knock the dirt off of this and we'll see if we see seed. Yeah, so here we go. So this is not even a weed, and it's not even an off-type variety. It's just one that we planted, which if that's all I'm finding between the rows, that's a really, really good sign. But if you see here, you can see the seed. I hope you can see that right there at the top. It's right there at the end of my finger. And the reason it's right there at the top of the plant like that is because it was one that fell off of the planter, or off of the planting unit, and fell in between the row, just right on top of the ground. And then when it rained, it got in the ground, made a root, and came on up. But you see there that the seed is right toward the top. So that's what happened. It was right on top, went ahead and came up, and then bam, now we got rice. And that's no problem whatsoever. It's still planted out here. It's gonna come up and grow just like everything else. It just indicated to me that something could be wrong, and it's not. So walking through here, I see a couple more like that, which that's pretty normal, but I don't see any grass. So that's what we're looking for, and that's a really good thing that there's not any out here yet. I don't want to say anything too loud because that stuff is pesky and it'll come up in a hurry. All right, so I don't want to say the word too loud out here because they might just start shooting up everywhere because we have so many issues with it. But our worst nemesis, or nemesis, or nemesises, like Dr. Doofenshmirtz would say, is red rice. So I don't know if we've talked about red rice on here before, but red rice is literally just rice. But it's not the rice that we planted in the field. And the seed is out here, it's in the ground, it's around. When you plow it up, when it gets wet, no matter what, you can flood the field all winter, take the water off, guess what's coming up? You guessed it, it's red rice. So the reason we don't want red rice out here is because, first of all, it's tall, it's ugly, it falls over, it creates all kinds of issues and holes in the rice that we do plant out here. But it also, when it makes a grain, it makes a head, and you harvest that, when you take that to the mill to make it into table rice, white rice that you're used to buying from the grocery store, it has a red streak down the side of it. Now that red streak is not dangerous, it's not harmful, it doesn't really even taste bad. It's not the most desirable type of grain, but there's nothing really wrong with it, other than when you grab your bag from the grocery store and it has that nice, beautiful little clear window in the bag, you don't want to see red stripes. You want to see white, pretty, beautiful rice, and that's what we're trying to grow. So what happens is those red rice plants come up, they head out, we cut them, spreads the seed everywhere again behind the combine, or it shatters it off because it doesn't stay on the head very well. And then guess what we have next year? A bigger patch of red rice. So that is one of our biggest things we're trying to combat, look for, and trying to kill. But the problem is, it's rice. You can't kill rice if you're trying not to kill rice. So one of our biggest challenges is to try to keep red rice from coming up big, and our main way to do that, especially with a variety like we've planted out here, is to get it up and happy and established and healthy and tall, so that the red rice doesn't really have a chance to get going and get big. So that's another thing we're looking for out here, even though it's pretty much impossible to get rid of. What are you doing, Clover? Just going for a swim? Yeah, I think you can stay down there. Okay, I know you're tired of me talking about random stuff, but I want to show you one more thing. This is water damage. So these fields, the water came up from the rain, got over the rice, and stayed there for almost a week before it was able to go down. And that's what this does. You can see where the water was deeper right here by the ditch, and then there's some other places like over there. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of dished out like that too. Now this will come back and there'll be no probably issue with it whatsoever, but it definitely sets us back. It takes a lot longer for it to get back healthy and to get looking good again. But it's just part of it. It happens. Some of our fields are low, they don't have drainage, they stay underwater for a while, and that's just something that we really can't control. Even with pumps and things, it's almost impossible to, you know, have it where we can actually keep it off all the time. So you can tell it looks kind of spindly. Let's see if I can pull one up. See how compared to that other plant I pulled up a second ago, it was kind of broad-leafed, almost thick and healthy, green looking. This is real like spindly and thin. It's also pretty yellow. You can see that behind me. And so that's the damage from the water. And rice is resilient. It also likes water a lot, so it's it likes water a lot when it's older, but it's more resistant and resilient with water when it's younger. So this will be okay, but we need to baby it and keep it from getting wet again, hopefully, and just kind of watch it and make sure it all gets healthy and comes back up again. But that's what water damage looks like, and that's what a lot of the farm looks like right now. So that's a bit of a setback. We have those fields that are higher that look really good, and then we have some stuff that looks like this. But all in all, I don't think anything was a total loss by any means. But there you go, water damage. All right, so I've got something here I want to show you. I've been driving around looking for red rice, looking for weeds, all those types of things. And this field is bad with red rice. Now, we knew it was going to be bad with red rice, so we kind of planned for that, and I'm going to explain what that means here in a second, but I want to show you the red rice first. All right, so as you can see, the rows are just filled with rice that's not supposed to be out here, like this right here. And that's red rice, and that's what we want to kill. That's what we don't want out here. And you can imagine that if we have a traditional variety like we were looking at before, it would be nearly impossible. This variety is specifically bred to be resistant to a chemical that kills red rice, but not the rice that we planted out here. Now, a lot of people get confused. They think it's GMOs, and that's not the case at all. This was bred specifically, a natural gene in rice that was resistant to a chemical that kills the red rice, was bred into this variety so that we can plant it out here, spray a chemical, kill the red rice, and leave the other rice to grow and come on up and be healthy and all that sort of stuff. So this variety doesn't yield as well. The quality's not as good, things like that, but those downfalls are worth it when you have a field that has this much red rice in it. So that's what we've been doing the past couple years, is we'll go in and plant the fields that we know are going to be bad with this variety so that we can come in, kill the red rice for a couple years in a row, and then we'll come back like we did this year on those fields we just looked at with a hybrid or sake rice or medium grain, something that we know can make us some money, that will yield well. And hopefully when you do that, there won't be any red rice in those fields because you've killed it in the years before. So that is our current plan of action for fields like this. That's what we did to this field specifically for that purpose. And we got to get out here and spray it, obviously, but hopefully we will take care of the red rice that's out here and clean this field back up like we did those other ones where we couldn't find any red rice. So far so good. All right, the camera's down on me like crazy, so I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. Check out this time lapse I took the other night. You can see the northern lights ended in the right hand side of the screen. So check that out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Back again, day 2. Dad is spraying some fields right now at the moment. He's about to go by me right here, and we're also fertilizing some fields with the airplane right now. Dad went back and checked a couple fields yesterday, and apparently I'm not as good of a rice scout as he is, and he found some weeds, so we sprayed a couple of fields, and then he's spraying the ones that we knew we were going to have to spray, and plane's putting out fertilizer, so we'll show you some of that. There goes Dad. He's gonna go load up another load and spray another field, and I'm gonna pull over here to try to get in line with the airplane and show you what it looks like when he's putting out the fertilizer. So he's putting out 200 pounds of urea fertilizer right now, and we like to get that out on the dry ground. So we wanted to make sure that the fields were dry yesterday. There were no puddles to, you know, vaporize the fertilizer when it hits. So we want that to go into the plant when we put water on it. So there he goes again. So we're putting the water on this as soon as he gets this out. We'll start flooding these fields up, get a nice flood on them, and this rice is really going to take off, get big, get taller, and get healthier. So that's the plan on these fields, and then we'll do some other fields a little differently because of the water damage, but that's what's going on. Dad just called me and told me I needed to grab these. Look here. Channel locks in the middle of the road. He said, hey, there's some channel locks in the middle of the road. I said, okay. He said, I think they might be mine. He dropped channel locks in the middle of the road, and I picked them up. And fun fact, I think those are channel locks that I borrowed from Nathan, and then Dad stole from me. So they're actually Nathan's channel locks. Hope Nathan's not watching this. All right, I know you're probably getting tired of me explaining random stuff here, but I wanted to show you this. I don't think we've ever shown this on the YouTube channel before. So when we go to flood our fields, they're zero grade. We've talked about that before. So we have canal systems that stretch miles really along the edges of our fields that we can then open the gates and let the water into whatever one we want, basically. So we have two main Corps of Engineer dug ditches that run through the farm that come up and down with rainwater and runoff and things like that. And one of them is right here. And so what we do is we take pumps, relifts, and put those in those ditches so that we can pump that water when it's available and put it in our canal systems to then flood the fields. So we had some recent rain. The water's gone down a little bit, but there's some available water. So that's one of the reasons we want to fertilize and flood right now. So Uncle Carl started this pump this morning, and this water will be going in a roundabout way to the field that we just looked at. Alright, so I've jabbered on enough in this video. I think we'll call it good. We're still waiting on some fields to dry out to get planting again. It shouldn't be but a couple days, so hopefully the next video you see we're planting some more rice. But right now we're tending to the rice that we've already planted, trying to get it flooded up and established, and so far so good. So stick around. We'll see you next Saturday for another video, and hopefully we're putting some more rice in the ground. So we'll see you then.